and excuse me for the delay in logging in. Actually, I was stuck in a traffic. I called and somehow I thought I will not be able to make it. So Krishna gave me intelligence and I came into one devotee's house, Braja Bihari Prabhu's house, just barged in and said that Prabhuji, I want to give a class. So they have allowed me to log in. So that's why I'm late. So Prabhu is a very senior disciple of His Holiness Radha Govind Maharaj. And Prabhu and Mataji are doing wonderful service very close to ISKCON Mira Road Temple here. So I'm very thankful to them and thanks to everyone to have understood. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki. We are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 10, Text number 4. This is the chapter titled Prahlad Maharaj, the best among exalted devotees. Nanyata te kila guru gateta karunatmana yasta asisha asaste nasabhrityasa vaivanik. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. Otherwise, O my Lord, O Supreme Instructor of the entire world, you are so kind to your devotee that you could not induce him to do something unbeneficial for him. On the other hand, one who desires some material benefit in exchange for devotional service cannot be your pure devotee. Indeed, he is no better than a merchant who wants profit in exchange for service. Purport. It is sometimes found that one comes to a devotee or a temple of the Lord just to get some material benefit. Such a person is described here as a mercantile man. Bhagavad Gita speaks of Artho Jiknyashur Artharthi. The word Artha refers to one who is physically distressed, and Artharthi refers to one in need of money. Such persons are forced to approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead for mitigation of their distress or to get some money by the benediction of the Lord. They have been described as Sukriti, pious, because in their distress or need for money, they have approached the Supreme Lord. Unless one is pious, one cannot approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead. However, although a pious man may receive some material benefit, one who is concerned with material benefits cannot be a pure devotee. When a pure devotee receives material opulences, this is not because of his pious activity, but for the service of the Lord. When one engages in devotional service, one is automatically pious. Therefore, a pure devotee is Anyabilashita Sunyam. He has no desire for material profit, nor does the Lord induce him to try to profit materially. When a devotee needs something, the Supreme Personality of Godhead supplies it. Yoga Kshemam Bahamyaham. Sometimes materialists go to a temple to offer flowers and fruit to the Lord because they have learned from Bhagavad Gita that if a devotee offers some flowers and fruits, the Lord accepts them. In Bhagavad Gita 9.26, the Lord says, Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam Yome Bhaktya Prayaschati Tataham Bhakti Upahritam Ashnami Priyatatmanaha. If one offers me with love and devotion a leaf, a flower, a fruit, or water, I will accept it. Thus, a man with a mercantile mentality thinks that if he can get some material benefit, like a large amount of money, simply by offering a little fruit and flower, this is good business. Such persons are not accepted as pure devotees. Because their desires are not purified, they are still mercantile men. Even though they go to temples to make a show of being devotees. Sarvopadi vinirmuktam tatparatyana nirmalam. Only when one is fully freed from material desires can one be purified, and only in that purified state can one serve the Lord. Krishikena Krishikesa Sevanam Bhakti Ruchyate. This is the pure devotional platform. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakayam Chakshurun Militam Menam Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padayam Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityanandam Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrindam Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Nanyata te kila guru Gateta Karunatmanah Yasta Ashaste Nasabhritya Savaivani. Otherwise, O my Lord, O Supreme Instructor of the entire world, you are so kind to your devotee that you could not induce him to do anything unbeneficial for him. On the other hand, one who desires some material benefit in exchange for devotional service cannot be your pure devotee. Indeed, he is no better than a merchant who wants profit in exchange for service. So, this is a chapter how Nrsingadeva, after bestowing special benediction, pleasing Prahlad Maharaj, so how the whole episode is further unfolding. Nrsingadeva wanted to offer benediction to Prahlad Maharaj, but Prahlad Maharaj was very kind. So he is talking to Narada Muni. So, I mean, he is talking to the Supreme Lord, making some, request to the Supreme Lord. The very famous request is going to come up in the next few verses. 7:10:7, a very famous verse. So, this particular chapter discusses about the greatness of Prahlad Maharaj by his qualities, describing about his qualities. So, Narada Muni, when he heard the benedictions that Nrsingadeva wanted to offer, he is saying how Prahlad Maharaj is responding. So the verse that we just read today is spoken by Prahlad Maharaj, who is actually telling the Lord that, what he is why is he offering such benedictions? So we are going to, as usual, learn some lessons. Please excuse me for the background noise because I am not in my home base where I'm supposed to be. I got stuck in a traffic. I just sneaked out of the car and got into some devotee's house. I'm sitting in their balcony and giving a class. So please excuse me for the disturbance. But I'm so kind to the family who has allowed me to, log in and give a class. So we have several times heard that Krishna consciousness is meant for elevating our consciousness from doggish mentality to being situated in complete surrender, state of surrender. Krishna is explaining to Arjuna in second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna is telling Arjuna that, my dear Arjuna, Durena hi avaram karma buddhi yoga dhananjaya. He says, your thought process is completely polluted and disturbed because of so many so-called cooked up ideas. So he is calling them as avaram. Varam means blessings. Avaram means something against the blessings. Dure nahi avaram. Keep aside all those things which are not blessings. Use your buddhi yoga. Use your intelligence and be properly situated. So, Prabhupada gives a fantastic purport wherein he is saying that if somebody is trying to use Krishna, not love Krishna or serve Krishna, he is definitely better off than not even coming to Krishna. But one need to know that just because you are transacting with Krishna for certain benefits, then it is not pure devotional service. So as usual, we will churn this context through some sets of reflections. I will try to keep it short to limit within my allocated time. So the very first reflection is about what Bhaktivinoda Thakur is explaining in Chaitanya Sikshamrita. In Chaitanya Sikshamrita, Bhaktivinoda Thakur is making a very profound point. He is saying that as a human being, we are expected to elevate our consciousness and eventually surrender to the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. So from that perspective, one need to focus on Bhagavata Dharma, or one need to focus on Bhakti. And in this purport, Prabhupada is writing that when we are getting rid of Sarva Upadi Vinirmuktam Tatparatyena Nirmalam, Prabhupada is writing in the purport. So when we are trying to get rid of all our upadis, false designation, then only we will get cleansed. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying, which is what Prabhupada is also saying, which is what all the Vaishnava Acharya is saying, the purpose of this human form of life is to surrender to the lotus feet of Krishna and dedicate our life for glorifying Krishna, which means perform bhakti, pure devotional service. Bhagavata Dharma is supposed to be subscribed. But every one of us know that that is the goal and that is the destination. Somehow or the other, to reach that stage, we have to work hard and work through certain evolutional process. So long as we are not going to be properly situated in pure devotional service, our devotional service will always have some adulteration, which is what Prabhupada is explaining in this purport. And that adulteration has to be eventually given up. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur is explaining how that adulteration can be worked through. It is good advice by Bhaktivinoda Thakur so that we are able to progressively move forward, not haphazardly or sporadically or whimsically moving forward. When somebody is whimsical, when somebody is sporadic, when somebody is progressive in his thinking, he will try to put in some endeavor to perform devotional service in a very strict manner, knowing that I am conditioned, knowing that my goal is to be purely Krishna conscious. I need to make a gradual progress in my Krishna consciousness. So he will put in some scientific thinking. But if somebody is not like that, which is what Prabhupada is saying, we find sometimes devotees visit the temple for some material benefit. They will be thinking that I will glorify Krishna. Krishna will give me something in return. So what is the most better way of, getting my things done? Which is okay. At least they are coming to Krishna. But Prahlad Maharaj, in this context, when Prahlad Maharaj's superlativeness, Prahlad Maharaj's pure devotional service is being described. So we should talk about pure devotional service, and that is our benchmarking as well as the goal. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur is explaining that if you are not able to perform pure devotional service for some reason or the other, because of our conditioning, because of our various kinds of impediments, because of our, wrong choices, at least see to that you are not being uncivilized. So then he is giving stages. Aniti, Nirishvara Niti, Seshvara Niti, Upadharma, Varnashrama Dharma, and Bhagavata Dharma. He is giving these 6 stages. Aniti means uncivilized stage. Nirishvara Niti means civilized stage. Seshvara Niti means scientific stage. Upadharma is secondary dharma. Varnashrama dharma is our constitutional and our dharma which we are supposed to exhibit as a part of a human form. And Bhagavata dharma and Sanatana dharma is our ultimate goal. So what Bhaktivinoda Thakur is explaining, at no point in time as a devotee, at no point in time as an individual, one should subscribe to Aniti. This is for all of us who are practicing Krishna consciousness, sometimes try to take Krishna consciousness benefit and try to enjoy materialistic life. This is classified as uncivilized, which means it is one of the offenses as listed in 10 Nama Aparad. Committing sinful activities on the strength of the holy name of the Lord. Because when we are practicing Krishna consciousness, we may have some understanding, some familiarity, some sort of results that we would have got. And what if we try to utilize it for our personal sense gratificatory agenda and make that as a way of life? Then that person is called Kali Chela, or that person who tries to take advantage, who tries to utilize the Lord, who tries to take benefit from spirituality, but his goal is not Krishna consciousness. In Hindi, they are all called dhongi, which means somebody who is a pretender. In third chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna explains that, my dear Arjuna, be very careful that in your journey, never ever try to be a pretender. Rupa Goswami is giving a fantastic example. And the example is giving is that of a snake, poisonous snake. He says, poisonous snakes are generally very dangerous. Nobody would dare to go closer to them. But there is one type of snake which has got nagamani, which has got a jewel on its hood, or when there is a jewel on its hood. Then that snake is all the more dangerous because the jewel on the hood of the snake attracts the person and eventually he is victim of the poison of the snake. Similarly, a demon or an uncivilized person or a person who is committing abominable activities are not a very good association to be in. But it is all the more risky for a person to have abominable activities in the garb of a devotee. So, my first reflection is about what Bhaktivinoda Thakur is trying to explain here, that never ever subscribe to being uncivilized. You are aniti, you are not following niti, you are not following some sort of a righteousness, will put you into a very, very risky proposition, and we will be answerable. We will have to answer the will of providence. We'll have to answer the arrangement of the Lord. So at least be civilized. Civilized meaning following the rules and regulations, being obedient, submitting to the authority. And in the civilized, he is explaining one stage further. It's called Seshwara Niti, scientific stage, which means understand why you are civilized. Being civilized, following some rules, surrendering to someone is not just a formality, but if you know the underlying reason, then there is a high possibility that you will be able to appreciate the process. So better than being aniti, to be having some sort of civilized nature. Better than being civilized is to be having a person with understanding he is civilized. And better than that is subscribing to some form of dharma, upadharma. Upadharma cannot give us Krishna, but at least it will help you to stay afloat in some form of righteousness. And better than upadharma is varnashrama dharma, and better than varnashrama dharma is Bhagavata dharma. So that is why Prabhupada was propagating Bhagavata dharma all the time. I was in Bangalore, last week, 10 days before. So we were discussing in a, devotees forum, saying that in our 24 hours of the day, we have, as practicing devotee, we have somehow or other managed to make our 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours, 7 hours, for someone even 10, 15 hours, we are able to practice Bhagavata Dharma. Depends upon individual. Somebody even 1 hour only. But what is the remaining part of the day we are? When I am only practicing Bhagavata Dharma as a part of my life, then what is the remaining part of my life is all about? We are reckless. We are somewhere or other in our subconscious. We start to think that because I did bhakti, that bhakti will give me a protection. And we are trying to be reckless for the remaining part of the day, which may be 8, 10, 12, whatever number of hours. So what we are discussing is keeping Bhaktivinoda Thakur's direction, all those devotees, to much that extent where they are not able to uphold Bhagavata Dharma's principle in their life 24 hours, at least they should subscribe to that remaining hours where they are not able to do Bhagavad Dharma. They should be dharmic in terms of being righteous, subscribing to the rules and regulations of Vedic literature. Krishna consciousness is beyond all the materialistic rules and regulations. Dharma has pretty much to do with your body, your conditioning, to your local standard. But then, following the Dharma and being thankful, appreciative, surrendered, and trying to subscribe to that is much better than being uncivilized. In my 35, 36 years of being in Krishna consciousness movement, I have seen sometimes devotees, in the name of Krishna's service, in the name of glorifying Srila Prabhupada, in the name of performing devotional service, they do aniti and they justify their act, saying that I am doing this for Krishna. It is very, very difficult to even comprehend such a thing. Unless we are situated in the platform of Madhavendra Puri or Alvars and Acharyas, we will not be able to function like that because we are all surrounded by dualities. So, to conclude my first reflection, I want to submit this point saying that as a practicing devotee, we should be very careful to practice Bhagavad Dharma, and when we are not able to that much extent, we are supposed to subscribe to Varnashrama Dharma and be righteous. Anything lower than that means we are compromising what we have gained. So, our goal of life is to make Krishna consciousness as a way of life rather than Krishna consciousness as a part of life. Second reflection that I want to say is what Prahlad Maharaj is saying. Prahlad Maharaj is saying, my dear Lord, you are so kind to your devotee that you could not induce him to do something unbeneficial for him. What a profound statement. He says, my dear Lord, it is impossible for you that you can do anything unbeneficial for him. If somebody just dwell on this statement, they can understand how Krishna and Krishna consciousness both are sublime. When we say that Krishna always performs everything for the benefit of his dear devotees, if somebody has got 100% faith in that statement, 100% surrender to that statement, then they would know that the troubles, the challenges, the disturbances, the health hazards, so long as non-cooperation, so long as so much of unexpected things happening in one's life is also something that Krishna wants us to go through as a benefit for us to become a better devotee. That's maturity. So instead of going and thanking Krishna during our good days and blaming Krishna or blaming devotees during our bad days, that does not show our maturity. Here, Prahlad Maharaj, who had been through such a severe trials and tribulations by his own father, he is making this statement. You could not induce him to do something unbeneficial for him. It is never in the design of the Supreme Lord that he can think bad about us. In fact, he is other way around. He is trying to microscopically see us to give us some brownie points. In Harinam Chintamani, Haridas Thakur is explaining. While he is explaining about Nama Bas, Haridas Thakur is explaining that even when somebody jokingly calls the holy name of the Lord, even if somebody inadvertently calls the holy name of the Lord gives him a benefit. In Navadvip Dham Mahatmya, Bhaktivinoda Thakur writes that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is so merciful that if somebody is coming and sleeping in Mayapur Dham, he considers them as somebody who is offering obeisances and give him some credit. So, if at all the Lord has to punish us for our mistakes and reward us for something good, I am 101% sure that I will be no way closer to what services I am doing. I will be going on undergoing punishments only. To that much extent, personal capacity, I am making mistakes. And the Lord, being as magnanimous as He is going on tolerating my nonsense and trying to help me in various ways by sending people, by removing something, by putting me in some situations. He is making me slowly, he is somehow trying to extend himself to us. So my second reflection is that as practicing devotees, we might need to come to one strongest conclusion, that there is no loss in this process and it is impossible for the Lord to give us trouble in spite of our nice chanting, in spite of our services, in spite of our hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, in spite of our sadhu sangha. If we are facing apparent challenges, disturbances, obstacles, and any types of difficulties, unexpected things, which means Krishna wants us to go through this. In our Indian conversation, they say, "Kutte ke pooch सीधा नहीं हो सकता." The dog's tail cannot be straightened. So, like that, conditioned soul like me, we cannot be changed so easily. And the Lord knew about it. And if people like me have to be put into devotional service, so it has to be through some sort of a conditioning. So, hence, my second reflection is to say that how the Supreme Lord is so merciful. We need to learn to see Krishna's hand behind all our successes and achievements. So, from that standpoint, as a practicing devotee, let us learn to thank Krishna. Let us learn to appreciate Krishna. Let us learn to surrender to Krishna rather than trying to blame. I used to always tell this to my students that please don't go and ask Krishna, why have you done this? Go and ask Krishna, how can I understand you? Please go and ask Krishna that how can I learn something from the situation that you have given me? Because I have seen devotees going and blaming Krishna. Prabhu, I did so much of service to my Gurudev. I did so much of this thing for my community. So I know everybody has ditched me. So I lost all my faith. Krishna hai ki nahi sawal aa raha. So many such thoughts come in. So I used to always tell this to my students that please don't go and tell Krishna, why have you done this to me? Please go and ask Krishna. If possible, first go and thank Krishna for whatever he has done. Because Prahlad Maharaj, as an authority, says that you will never do something unbeneficial for your devotees. And if you can't thank him, if you want to still question him, my dear Krishna, how can I understand you? How can I understand the situation? How can I try to learn from the situation? How can I become a better devotee from the situation? Because just imagine, if you go and ask Krishna, why you did this to me, Krishna? Uh, Suppose Krishna says, why not? You look at your chat history. You look at your, browsing history. You look at the last, 24 hours of what you did. One time, Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj, out of his sheer humility, absolute humility, made a very profound statement. Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj made this statement saying that I am so fallen that when I die, please drag me in the streets of Mayapur. When my body is, when the soul leaves my body, please drag me in the streets of Mayapur so that the dust from the lotus feet of these Vaishnavas will purify me. So this was a very humble statement of Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj. It so happened that Babaji Maharaj reached his Samadhi. So Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj did not have any disciples but for Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. But all the other Babajis in Mayapur at that time, Navadvip Mayapur, they came to Babaji Maharaj and they said that we will do the Samadhi ceremony of Babaji Maharaj. We know what his wishes are. He mentioned once that his body be dragged in the streets of Mayapur. Somebody said that. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, as emphatic as he is always, he came in front of everyone and said, I challenge all of you devotees. In that assembly, there were sannyasis, brahmacharis, some senior devotees. He said in front of everyone, I challenge every one of you. If any one of you have not broken 4 regulative principles in the last 24 hours, can come forward and touch the body of Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj. To everyone's surprise, nobody came forward. He said, if somebody has not broken regulative principles in the last 7 days, you can come forward. Nobody came forward. He said, he kept on saying like this. If somebody has not broken regulative principles in the last 1 month, so he knew how duplicitous, how hypocritical the devotees were. So he said he carried his spiritual master's body in his own arms and he personally did the Samadhi ceremony. The point that I want to drive home as a conclusion of the second reflection is that in our service to the Supreme Lord, the Supreme Lord will always bestow his benediction upon his surrendered souls, but the forms of benediction have to be understood. Because if the Lord asks why not, because Lord knows our heart, we have no face to show. So better we accept that the Lord is our eternal, well-wishing Father. He is called Bhava Grahi Janardana. He is ready to give us brownie points left, right and center so that he is able to accept us. So let us learn to love Krishna. Let us learn to accept Krishna. Let us learn to serve Krishna. Let us learn to include Krishna in all walks of life. And let us start not blaming Krishna for anything, rather take responsibility. And the last reflection from this current context. So, Prabhupada explains in the purport that, however, although a pious man may receive some material benefit, one who is concerned with material benefits cannot be a pure devotee. When a pure devotee receives material opulences, this is not because of his pious activity, but for the service of the Lord. When one engages in devotional service, one is automatically pious. Therefore, a pure devotee is Anya Abhilashita Sunyam. He has no desire for material profit, nor does the Lord induce him to try to profit materially. I will give two examples. One recent contemporary example I have given a couple of times earlier also. How a devotee perceives opulence. We had a very famous devotee in Alachua who used to be the photographer of in the Back to Garden magazine, Yamaraj Prabhu or something like that name. So I was in Alachua in 2018 June, if I'm right. 2018 June, yeah. 18 or 19 June. 18 June, probably. We had our education conference. At that time, Prabhu passed away. So during his memorial ceremony, they were sharing one very interesting anecdote from his life, saying that he was a very humble, simple devotee, so much so that for his personal maintenance and for his personal care, he had only had 2 sets of clothes. But then, for his services, he had the most sophisticated equipments for himself. So here, the opulence, a Vaishnava is such that he is not against the opulence, but he knows how to dovetail the opulence. Srila Prabhupada never said no to the opulence coming his way. One time a Mayavadi came to Srila Prabhupada, I don't remember the exact details, but he was trying to avoid taking money. Prabhupada said, we have no problem taking money because we know how to utilize them correctly. So my third reflection here is that a practicing devotee, a sadhaka, may go through his own or her own learning, but a self-realized soul, the opulences that he blessed with, or even the poverty that he is exposed to, neither bothers him, but by design, the Supreme Lord always bestows transcendental loving benediction upon his devotees, pure devotees, that he is giving them necessary opulences for his services. Srila Prabhupada went with 40 rupees to USA and he came back with 40 rupees with so much of millions of dollars in his bank account. And I will end with a small story that Radhanath Maharaj has mentioned from his personal life. It is published in the book Journey Home. So this episode is a very famous episode. I may be slightly wrong in some details in that case, forgive me, but the context is very much correct. So Radhanath Maharaj was, at that time, he was not yet surrendered to Prabhupada. But in the search of spiritual truth, he kept walking and came all the way till Pakistan border. So when he came to the Pakistan border, He hardly had any money in his pocket. I think it was Wagah border, if I'm right. And he was not very well groomed. So the security officer, border security force, they stopped him. They stopped him and said that you are not authorized to go inside India. He begged and pleaded and said that please let me in. I am not a threat to your country. I am here to search for my spiritual guru. The officer did not let him in for 72 hours, if I'm right. Maharaj was waiting without proper place to sleep, proper food. Then a duty officer changed. A Sardar officer came. Somehow Maharaj went and pleaded to him again and said, please sir, please let me in. I assure you, if you let me in, I will do something good for your countrymen. What that officer thought, he didn't know. He somehow let Maharaj in. Several years later, after Maharaj surrendered to Srila Prabhupada, did all his wonderful projects, made sure he won so many souls to Lotus feet of Srila Prabhupada. After he published his Journey Home book, the President of India, Her Highness Pratibha Patil, she invited for presidential dinner to her official quarters. It is a custom that if you are a guest to the president of the country, the president comes to the doorsteps to welcome the guest. She is the first citizen of the country. With Purna Kumbha Maryada, she came to welcome Radhanath Maharaj. Very emotional thing. Maharaj wrote there, that day when I was trying to enter India, I was a beggar. I didn't have a single penny in my pocket. The day I was meeting president of the country, I neither had a bank balance nor I had personal capacity in money. But the difference was that I am now a surrendered servant of A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. And I kept the promise that I gave to the officer that I will do something good to the countrymen of India. And that attracted me all sorts of opulences, benefit. So many good souls came forward. How much of time I have speak about this, I personally feel the purport of Prabhupada is always coming true. So that is why somebody said this. Spiritual, the word spiritual in English is to be explained like this. If you remove the word S-P-I from the word spiritual, if you pronounce the word spiritual, S-P-I-R-I-T-U-A-L, if you remove S-P-I, what is left behind is called ritual. And S-P-I is Srila Prabhupada's instructions. If somebody follows Srila Prabhupada's instructions, he can be spiritual and will attract all the opulences by which he can serve the Lord. If he doesn't follow Srila Prabhupada's instructions, he is only going to do some rituals which will have its own course effect. So I want to conclude the third reflection by saying that the opulences that the pure devotees are blessed with is because of their surrender, and Krishna personally gives himself to the pure devotees. So we need to make sure that in our journey in Krishna consciousness, we try to understand this aspect, that Krishna is on our side. There is nothing for us to lose. So let us be very bold, let us be very emphatic, and just get going and doing something for Krishna. Let us live one life for glorifying Krishna. let us do one time. We have several lives we have lived for us. But one time, let us do everything for Krishna and Srila Prabhupada. I am sure we will be looked after very well. Even if we are not, that is Krishna's plan. At any case, there is no loss or diminution in this process. Param Vijayate, Sri Krishna Sankirtanam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Thank you so much. I'm so sorry we had to log in late, as well as there are some background traffic. I'm sitting in a place where a devotee has been very kind to allow me to sit, but then it's not the ideal situation for having a peaceful class. So thank you so much. If there are any quick questions or comments, I'll be happy to respond. Though I have a limited time, just in case if there are quick questions or comments, I'll be happy to respond.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dana Pranam, all the Sister Prabhupada. It was such an nectarian class, such an important topic of the surrender and take what the Lord is offering to you to the life's ups and downs. It's so nice your bulleted your point by point analysis and with scripture as well as your realization and anecdotes were so valuable in instilling this very important topic into our head. Yes, I reflect that Ananya Chintantam Yajana Paratesham Gita Yukta Yoga Kshevam Baham. We shouldn't forget that Krishna is protecting us, Krishna is giving whatever is required if we have Ananda Bhaktas. And also says Name Bhakta Kuntya Pratiyani Name Bhakta Pranasti. So we shouldn't have any doubt left in our mind that he is our protector and fulfilling your bhatta. He is our provider, and that's why we should have that Avashya Shiva Krishna Vishasha Palam. So yes, so important. Yeah, so nice, Prabhuji. Your restoration is so much valued, and please bless us with your station and your Nectarian Katha.
Thank you so much for your kind word, Prabhuji. Always Prabhupada, and I'll pray to Krishna that we are all able to serve Srila Prabhupada in his mission in his life. Thank you so much. Always Prabhupada. Any other quick comments or questions or reflections?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Thank you so much for this nectarian class. And especially you explained very nicely about if something is not happening or something happened to us, then we always ask Krishna why this is happening or why did you this and you did this. So you gave a very beautiful perspective and right perspective that we should ask Krishna, how can I understand this situation and how can I be better? So thank you so much, Prabhuji, for this explaining very nicely. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. If there are no questions, then probably I'll excuse myself because I'm in somebody's house.
Yes, Prabhuji, thank you so much. And thank you for the devotees who have opened their home for our class, Srimad Bhagavatam. So please give our dandavat to them. So if nobody has any question or comment, we can end up the call here. Panchakalpatarvesha Kripa Sindhu Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Anant Koti Vaishnavanda ki jai, Namacharya Shiradas Thakur ki jai, Prabhupada ki jai, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, His Grace Ram Girdhari Prabhuji ki jai. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Bol.
Hare Bol.
Hare Bol.